Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. Today I got a special guest with me, and I always call her a special guest because she is a special guest, given what she brings to the table and for her intellect and knowledge on these subjects that we speak on. And it's always good to always speak with Sister Pebbles. Sister Pebbles, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How's everyone doing?
That's right. And
you know, it's a good day. It's a good day.
Yeah, it's a good day to the fact to where we should be smiling in the face of victory, but smiling as we work in harmony with the times that we living in, because we getting ready to bring about a change if we don't stop. And that's
right. That is exactly so. That is very true.
And that's what the topic of today's show is. What we gonna do now? And the reason being, right, for the listening audience, right, the reason this topic is because we've been at this position before back in time, right? We can go back, say, Brazil, when Ganga Zumba overthrew the Portuguese, right? We can say when after the Civil War. And it's always that, what are we going to do now? So right now, today, dealing with the George-Floyd untimely death and the situation and incident that took place, we're at a point to where when you gather the masses and you start getting your agenda heard, sometimes the opposition is like, well, look, we'll just let them vent. And after they finish venting, then they'll calm down because they don't have an agenda. They don't have a plan to move forward and the weight to fall upon themselves because they don't have no direction or no leadership. And when you gather this many people for a purpose, if you don't have an agenda formed, then infighting starts. You know, because what do we do now? You know what I mean? We getting our demands heard. We moving forward. You know, people are starting to hear us. So what do we do to further it so we can get total and complete freedom? What do you think, Pebbles? What's the next step?
Well, the next step is to continue en route, because it's one thing to, I always say this. I always say the words are for free, but actions cost. Now, it is important, although it does seem that we have reached a small victory, but it's just that. It is small. It looks massive from a visual aspect, but we have to keep pushing. And the reason why I say that, because if we keep in mind that from previous practices, when something would occur, they would, send us our leaders,
right,
in which most of us would accept it. They send people in,
right,
send them in to quiet them down,
right.
And that was the thing. But being that it's a new day, I tell people, you can't give me a leader. I'm my own leadership. And we've seen that. We've seen that with a couple of the rappers stepping in and saying things.
Right.
No. It's people saying, oh, why are you all doing this?
Right.
Although we have been made aware that within a protest there are other groups and individuals that do have their own agenda.
Right.
And they're doing their thing. But I had a little loss for words. But anyway, what I was saying, people have their own agenda. We need to keep pushing forward, because although we have addressed about, and we are having to deal with the fact about George Floyd and Ahmaud, okay, those two things, and we're having to deal with the crisis with this COVID-19. We still got to keep pressing forward to get our own narratives out. and it gets even deeper. Because not only are they killing us in a physical aspect, but in a mental aspect as well, even as far as them with the rules, their rules and the regulations that they have that most of us aren't even aware of.
In fact, we're putting so much pressure to where their puppets are scared and need to be scared to come out and say something against the rise of their people. Because you got CEOs and you got record execs who have people on their payroll that when incidents such as this occur, they call them up front and they tell them, look, we need you to go out there and calm your people down. We need you to go out there and spin the narrative. We need to go out there and get you to say, hey, we all need to get along, or I'm sorry. See, this is the thing that gets me. Black people over a history, white folk feel as though that all they have to do is apologize to us, and then we'll give them forgiveness, and then we go back to sleep, and they go back and continue to do the same thing that they had always been doing to us, right? And we
right, and they just devise a new way to do it.
Right.
Let's orchestrate things in a way where it can be less visible to the human eye.
Right.
And that's the kind of things they do with implementing the laws and things of that nature. But again, like I said, we have to keep pressing forward by becoming, and no offense to anybody, but hey, we have to be more for ourselves.
Right.
Okay? And those of us amongst us that are the naysayers who are saying, oh, that's what I want to say. Why are you all protesting, destroying, and things of that nature? But it appears to me that within a situation or things that go on, there are particular characteristics that go along with those things. Right. It's always been that way. And that's the way it is.
Like to me,
so people need to. If you whatever your thoughts are, those are your thoughts. Okay, right. You're entitled to it, but be quiet so you can learn things. Okay,
right.
And not interrupt and pass judgment on those people who are actually out doing something. Because a lot of people that are talking, those are the ones that are not putting up any effort. But meanwhile, they're going to benefit from your actions.
That's right. That's right. Like Tamika Mallory said, y'all taught us how to loot and how to burn down things, and black folks watched the colonizers' reaction to certain incidents and how they dealt with it. Hell, they motto was give me liberty or give me death. Hell, they burned down Black Wall Street. They burned down Move in Philadelphia. Y'all showing us how to retaliate or how to demand justice from the way that you all took justice. Because the thing about it is, a lot of black people in America, who taught you how to be an American? Meaning that if most of us came over here that couldn't speak English and didn't know the structure in which they were setting up the Americas, and they was considering us 3/5 of a human being, then the idea of how to be an American came from white folks.
That's right. Just imagine that everything that we've taught, okay, that we've been taught, and the things that we have seen. What if we behaved in that manner?
Right.
What if we did?
Right.
Surely there will be massive chaos, massive killing, because those are the things that have occurred with us, and we haven't forgotten. But yet we still try to do things in a peaceful manner, because for the most part that is our nature.
Right. Right.
So again, like I said, when you have people that going in, we're doing, and of course, like I said, there's a particular profile that goes with protesting. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't so, okay, well, what I've been seeing is what I've seen before from otherwise.
Right.
that have occurred in history. But it just so happened again, for the most part, that the damage that's being done is not us doing it.
Right.
It's the same individuals who are doing it that have been doing it.
Been doing it. I mean, and I'm sorry. It's overdue because we gave so many way out in order for us to achieve peace, right? I mean, you had one of the most horrific horror stories out of Mississippi. Was called the Devil's Punch Bowl, right? And in the Devil's Punch Bowl, all those free slaves that was just free that went to Mississippi, they marched them down in that ravine-like quarry and killed and massacred all of them. To the point to where the people in Mississippi, where those orange trees grow, right there where the Devil Punch Bowl was, they don't even eat them oranges because it's soaked in the blood of their people. And we still was like hoping that one day they would love us back, right? Then you go to the 1960s. Police dogs biting the breast of women. They sicking water hoses on women and men, hitting them in the head with the club. And we still was like, we going to keep loving them because maybe one day they going to love us back. Then you had Rodney King. You had Amadou Diallo. Then it goes up to, they killing all the way up to Philando Castillo, Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice. Then you had Ahmaud Arbery. Then you had Breonna Taylor. Then George-Floyd with the foot on the neck. But you know what's significant about that, though, Pebbles? The significant thing about that, think about it. They had his hands bound. They had his feet bound. Just like they did Jesus. Sat on the man's leg, and then they it's almost like they had the rope around his neck, but he had the knee on his neck, and they choked him out.
And what was done, I mean, it was that they were sending them, a message was being sent.
That's right.
Look at the massiveness of this black man.
That's right.
Do you see how we believe we can do in individuals?
That's right. That's right.
Because like before, when they used to take the black man, the strongest one, and the things that they would do to him. It's the same thing. But I have a question for you. With what has occurred, who is the lesson for? Is it for them or is it for us?
Yeah, the lesson was for them, showing that I can kill this nigga and nobody gonna come to his rescue because I got.
At this point, I believe it's for us.
Well, now
because
your manhood.
If we look, it's almost like this. You take something, you keep it caged up, and you torture it over and over again, and you do nothing. I'm sorry, and it does nothing. But you torture it. So you're creating something. You're creating all the negativity, all that stuff. So what happens when it's unleashed? What happens?
It's an explosion.
And that's it.
Explosion.
And although some of our forepeers, they were more passive.
Right.
It's a new day. You're not finding that in the younger people. No. And no one is having to guide them to say, hey, this is the way you should be or you need to be. That's within them.
Right.
Those are our ancestors, and they're back.
Right.
And they're back with a vengeance.
Right. But this is right because this is what freedom looks like. See, I'm sorry, but there was a tug of war with the mind dealing with Malcolm and Martin. Malcolm saying fight back. Martin saying be peaceful, right? That was up until towards the end of his death. He started getting more militant as far as more fighting back mode. But when you got black people and two great people, one saying fight back, the other one saying no, don't be nonviolent, it's pulling on the mind. And so now today, the people like, look, I'm standing for myself. I'm fighting back because my life has value. My life has meaning. God created me, and I'm not finna just stand here and let another man, especially a racist, come snuff my life from out of me. I can't do it. This generation, because we're understanding how to just enjoy nature. We understanding how to enjoy one another. We enjoying music. We're finally understanding how to enjoy life. For somebody to come try to snub this life from out from up under us, and we'll be right back with Sister Pebbles after we take this commercial break. Y'all stay tuned. Road Pig Radio. Right, we back.
Because it was a great platform. So.
All right, and we're back. We're back. Look, so we were having an interesting conversation though while we was on commercial break, right? And I was saying how our great-great-grandmothers, because they put the woman as the head of the house back during those times of slavery, but how she was warning us how on what to do in order to keep us alive, because if we did certain things like back then, look the white man in the eye, he'd kill you. You talk back to him, he'd kill you. If he's walking down the street and y'all on the same sidewalk, you have to step aside and let him pass, because they were instilling that in us for survival. And it's just like the man now who has to tell his son, when a white police officer pull you over, you got to do this to stay alive. You got to do that to stay alive. And that's psychotic, man. Like you were saying, Pebbles, today we are our own people. We're doing our own agenda. And who has time to remember all those chaotic rules on what to do when you see a white person approaching you, as if this was their country anyway? You know, and it don't make sense. You know, so the younger generations is fed up. They want complete freedom to where they can express themselves and be themselves. You know what I mean, Pam?
Right. They want to be themselves. You know, the thing of it is, if there's some laws, okay, we can adhere to those laws. But all that extra stuff, that's no more.
Yeah.
We can be to ourselves. We don't need validation from anyone. We don't need to go where you're going. We need nothing from you.
Right. That's right.
Because we are a force of our own.
That's right. All these brilliant minds that we have, you know. But then of course you're gonna have those who, like back in slavery times, who didn't want to be free, or who loved the master so much, you know, that they wanted to be up under them, or even prior times to that when we ran them across the desert to the Caucasus Mountains when we gathered all that we could find. It was some of us that hid them behind, who took them in to be wives and whatnot. But it's a new day, because it's a new mindset on the scene today. Because like I stated, we enjoying too much life, you know, in a sense to give it up to somebody who don't like you based upon skin color. When the God created you, you know, from within himself, you know. So yeah, we can't live like that, you know. Because that causes PTSD, that causes mental strain, and we wasn't put on this planet to go through that unnecessary stress. So
we wasn't put on this earth to have barriers like this. Understand, we've been here. This is not new to us. It's true to us.
That's right.
And we have been caged, so to speak.
That's a fact.
But now we can live without fear, and that's the thing. That fear
that's right.
that was present, it's no more. It's gone.
Right. It reminds me of the parable of the lion in the cage. You know, the lion was in the cage, and he only walked so many diameters within that cage. And when the cage was lifted, he still walked that same circumference within that cage, knowing that you got the whole field to go and explore. So that killing of George Floyd pushed that lion beyond those boundaries and go out and be the lion. You know, the cage is lifted, so go out and explore. You know, and Pebbles, you got any advice to the youth as far as, because this got to come from a female? I'm gonna tell you why though, Pebbles. I'm gonna tell you why. Because men, if women say, you know, like it was back in the day, I'm not dating a man unless he had Jordans on. Men running out getting Jordans. I'm not dating a man unless he got this kind of car and these kind of rims. Dudes were working hard and doing whatever they can to get these cars and get these rims. Do you believe if a woman say...
We set the stage for that.
Right. Set the stage. But if women say, you know what, I'm not dealing with men unless they reading books and if they got a certain type of education, even if it's self-knowledge that you study on your own, would that encourage more book reading and more learning of knowledge to better ourselves?
Yes. This is it. Remember, women, we're the mothers, we're the nurturers. That's who we are. We have taught our daughters and our sons. We have even taught our men, okay? So to speak.
Right.
But my advice to the youth people, always say shout out to the millennials, right?
Mm-hmm.
If people would come, I would hear even people wherever I am and they'll say, well, what's going on with the younger people? Oh, they just basically like they're out of control and this, that, and the other. I say, no, hold on a minute. Oh, no. I see things quite differently. I say they are our children, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say they didn't come from outer space.
Mm.
They really did. But still, they're our children, right?
Right.
So I told them all the time when we were there, we had our parents, and our parents were talking to us and telling us things. We didn't do any rolling of the eyes or talking back or anything. We didn't do that.
Not
Even though in our mind we probably had a few words or had things that we wanted to say, but we didn't. So all of that we held within us, that just flowed right into the younger people.
Right.
This is my very personal opinion. I really adore them.
Mm-hmm.
I like their mindset.
Come on.
I like the mindset that they're not taking any junk.
Right.
The only thing I would like to see for them is to be more conscious, of who they are. Right. And that takes time. We have to teach them who they are. But the more they become aware of themselves and knowing thyself, oh my God.
Yeah, that's
the beauty.
The beauty.
The beauty of that.
That's the key. Knowledge yourself.
It's awesome. That's it.
That's it.
But it's our place to teach them.
Right.
But
right.
I know.
Yeah,
I truly adore the young people. I love everything about them.
Right.
I love everything about them.
Right. When you have knowledge.
And they are ours. Do understand? We need to remember those individuals that some of us may feel that, they're a little, they just out there. No, they're not out there. The word is that there is some. And that's what it is.
And
with each generation, you're going to get a different type of individual, a more informed type of individual, an individual that's less tolerant of the systematic racism that we have occurred. And that's how it's supposed to be, because that is an indication of advanced intelligence and a sign of us overcoming or even having a desire to overcome the cards which we have been handed.
Right.
And that's the thing people need to understand.
Right. But when you stated knowledge of self, when you have knowledge of who you are, then you can create avenues to make money for yourself just by pure thought and then putting forth the physical effort. And that must be done in order for us to stop looking at each other or robbing each other or manipulating each other in order to make money. Once we solve that problem, then everything else is a breeze, because in a capitalistic society, of course you got to eat, but when you have that knowledge of who you are, and that will give you a belief system within yourself, and when you believe in yourself and you put that motion forth in this universe, you will succeed at whatever endeavor that you're trying to produce. You know, it don't matter what it is.
That's right.
You know?
And that's it. That's why we need to be more sufficient and look within ourselves, because we are very capable. We're intelligent. We are creators. There is nothing that we cannot do.
Facts.
But again, that's going to happen when we begin to focus more on ourselves.
That's right.
And that's what we need to do.
That's right.
I mean, you know, I'm not knocking anybody. I have nothing against anybody.
That's right.
But I tell you what, it's very important that we get to us. We got to get to us and be for us, no matter what. Because that's the thing. We wonder, oh, why do people do this or whatever? Everyone else sticks together.
Right.
We got to do it. We got to do what we need to do. I'm not worried about anybody else.
That's right. That's right.
Okay? My focus is on me.
That's right.
And my family.
Right. When you
in my very large family. That's it.
That's right. When you study yourself.
That's it.
Yeah. When you study yourself, you know what you like and what you don't like, because you know you. And when someone comes and handles you a particular way, you know how not to take it and say, hey, whoa, wait a minute. You know, I don't know who you think I am, but that's not who I am. I appreciate it if you do so, such and so. You know, and that way right there, it'll stop a lot of this racism in a sense, because you value yourself, so you're not gonna take crap off of nobody.
That's right.
You're not gonna be treated a certain way. You know, so that's what that's about.
I mean, it's at a point that's the only way. We got to keep. We can't become complacent and say, "Well, okay,
right.
You know, they heard her." That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Again, words are for free.
Right.
We have to have some action behind that. Sometimes I always say this. Excuse my language. You know, every now and again, we need some fire up under our asses.
Yeah.
To remind us that, hey, it's something you need to do. You got to keep pushing forward.
That's right.
And that's what we have to do, because we have continued to be killed. Okay. Right. And we're like, okay, then. They'll address it. The cops even go, you know, you can have it on video seeing that this person was unjustly executed.
Right.
Oh, they get off for it. Okay, don't get charged. Nothing happens. I mean, it has occurred repeatedly. Well, guess what my mindset is now? Brother, it is what it is.
Right.
When my son, God forbid,
right.
if it's one of my children,
right.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do what I got to do quietly. That's it.
And that's the mindset. That's right. The mindset we gotta have.
Go get it, because it's time out for that.
Right.
You know, I feel like this. I'm more than certain now.
That's right. We
a lot of us.
Right.
I bet we understand what Malcolm X meant.
Right. That's right.
We understand that part.
Right. It's our
okay.
Yeah.
We can gravitate to that, because before we know about Dr. Martin Luther King, we know about him, and we know what he was standing for. Right. We know his feelings.
Right.
But I'm sure at this point, we have to not only utilize what Dr. King taught us, but also we'll have to implement the things that Malcolm said. Because it's true.
That's right.
It's true.
It's true.
Fact. We have no choice but to gravitate to it.
Right. If we're going to pave a way for the next generation, we got to do something.
We have to.
If we love...
Really, it's at a point of like now or never. And that was on yesterday.
Right. Right.
That's it. We don't have no more time.
No.
Because if we don't, we will continue to lose generations to come. And I thought about it more than anything. You know what really made me think about something, and I can't tell you, I've totally watched the video.
Right.
With George Floyd. I didn't want to.
Right, a lot of people can't watch it.
Because it's
horrific.
This is what it is. Could you imagine someone, a man, and I know how men are. Our black men are proud, okay?
Right.
To hear a man calling for his mother.
Right. Yeah. He was in some pain.
Imagine the weight of that. A man calling for his mother because he knew. That alone, it says a lot to me. Right. It speaks volume.
Right.
And so with that being said, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, we've been used, black women. Our oppressor has used us. You know, because he needs the black woman and the white woman by his side. Mm-hmm. Because he knew the momentum of the black woman. Right. But guess what? No more of that. Oh, no. Because when you kill my son, you know the damage you cause for the entire family. You affect generations.
Right.
You affect generations.
Right.
And that can be no more. That cannot be any more. And I'm tired. I don't have any more tears.
Right.
So I don't have no tears, but I have something else.
That's right. And the alliance that he once shared with the black woman, that's cut. Because you killing her children. We appreciate that, Pebbles. Powerful, powerful, powerful word. You know.
Like I said, it is what it is. It's time to show up.
That's right.
I can't, you can't, that passiveness is out of there.
Right. Meaning
it's only one thing to understand. We only can have one understanding at this point. And that is, I will continue to do to you what you allow me to do. That's it. That's the bottom line.
And that's
no sorry, no nothing, because you would think if something or someone's done something a time or two, multiple times, the true way to know, a true indication that a person is regretful or they're really sincere about their apology, it's not to let it happen.
Right.
But when you keep doing stuff for the entire world to see,
right,
that's the stage.
That's right. We have to respond. Pebbles, I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate everything that you stated and your passion, because we need that today. And I want you all to stay tuned to this show. Stay tuned to these guests. Sister Pebbles, I appreciate your time and appreciate you being on the show. And
you're so welcome.
That's right.
And again, I'm going to say this, to make this my last word. Don't let nobody talk you down. For what? We have lost enough.
That's right.
We've lost enough. Can't talk me down.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it. That's right. Sister Pebbles, Verbal Peak Radio, and we out.